The phrase gender gap is frequently used in economics and politics to indicate the disparity amongst men and women in terms of how much earned or voting behavior. But one of the most documented gender gaps in reality involves mood disorder, depression. According to a research concluded by the Harvard Medical School, women are about twice as likely as men to develop major depression. They also have higher rates of seasonal affective disorder, depressive symptoms in bipolar disorder, and dysthymia, which is chronic depression.
It is still very unclear why a gender gap exists in depression. Some specialists believe that both genders are equally disturbed by depression. Now, a lot of women are more prone to be diagnosed with this condition. And this is largely because a lot of men are less likely to talk about their feelings or seek help with their mood problems.
Welcome to the Amazons. My name is Aisha Faludi, and of course, my ever reliable, present, beautiful, and vivacious Lillian Imoni is also.
Thank you for having me, the forever young Aisha Faludi. You're welcome to the Amazons.
Yeah, this is a very really topical discussion. A lot of us shy away from anything that has to do with mental illness, because mental illness, according to our own understanding of it, is someone who's really got mentally disturbed,
who's lost a screw up there.
Exactly. But mental illness is nothing to be ashamed of these days. A lot of us go about with one form of mental illness or not, whether we like it or not. The stress of everyday living has also increased that. There's bound to be one of those times where you have mood swings. Sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you are in between happy and sad.
True.
Do you understand?
True.
And sometimes you just want to be by yourself. Sometimes you want the lonesome. You enjoy your own quietude of your own company.
True. And like you rightly said, everyone has got a little bit of mental stress going on in their lives, especially if you live in a city like ours. We tend to always think that mental illness is when you lose a screw up there. Sometimes your mood, you're not happy, you're not sad, you don't even know what's going on in your head, or you have plans, goals that you set up for the year. A lot of people set up goals at the beginning of this year and they've not even achieved up to half of it. They're already beating themselves up about it. They're going through mood swings, they always want to be alone. They're not even talking to anybody because they feel like, of course, today's language is you're not the only one. So people shy away from even talking about it. I wouldn't want to come and talk to say, man, Aisha, I've been going through a lot. Yeah, you're not the only one, so that
without even
that's
having the patience to listen to the details
in the first place, what you're going through. So yes, it is present in our daily lives.
We are not the experts.
No, we are not.
We are just talking off the cup, the way we understand it. But we would go on a short break. When we come back, we will bring in our guests who will give you, more knowledgeable information about what this depression is and how to cope with it. And if you feel that you need to seek medical help, there's no shame about it. We'll talk more after the break. You're watching the Amazons. Welcome back to the Amazons, where today we are talking women who are in depression, the state of the mind. And we have two guests joining us. Thelma Osadebe runs an NGO that helps people who are at the bottom of the pyramid. Welcome to the program, Thelma.
Thank you very much.
And Dr. Maimuna Kadiri is a neuropsychiatrist and a mental health advocate. Ladies, welcome to the Amazons.
Thank
you.
So I'll just start with the doctor straight. What really would you say are the causes of depression, and what is depression?
First thing I would quickly want to enlighten the public. It's very easy for us when we are sad, we just say, oh, I feel depressed. So I want to let you know, please stop using that word. It's not a fancy word. Depression is a serious mental illness, and So find out why you're sad. And it may just be sadness for a day or two, which is not synonymous with depression. So depression is a serious mental illness that affects the way we think, the way we behave, and of course, the way we act. And it's part of a whole group called mood disorders. So generally, we would say, let's take it from childhood to adulthood. What will make somebody depressed? What are the reasons that will make someone even start feeling there's something wrong with me, or someone that's around me, a loved one, a colleague? Talk about what we call predisposing factors. Because what we see in adulthood now, we will not know this person was already sitting on the fence, which the Englishman will call predisposition. So we say he's sitting on the fence. And what will make anyone to be predisposed to depression? First, it can run in the family. Just like hypertension, just like diabetes, just like any other, most of the medical conditions. So when you go to the hospital and they ask you, any family history of hypertension, you're very quick to say, daddy, mommy. But when people come to me and is there any family history of mental illness? No. What do you mean? Are you saying my whole family is mad? Wow. So those are the kind of answers there.
But mental depression is not madness, though.
It's not madness. Exactly. It's not. We don't even like using the word anymore. You can jokingly tell your friend you are mad, but in real sense, you know your friend is not mad. So first, it runs in the family. So there's a family history, there's a genetic predisposition. Secondly, if you come from a family where there is divorce, father left mom, mom left father, you are more at risk. That doesn't mean you must or you will have mental illness, but you are at risk. The family where there is domestic violence. So you see, these are very relatable causes we are seeing on a day-to-day basis now. And some of us will sit down as experts and look at, in the next 5, 10 years, in the next 15 years, this person may be having issues, but right now there may be no issue. So domestic violence in the home, divorce in the family, death of one or both parents. Obviously, that child is going to be nurtured by somebody. So this is the issue of nature versus nurture now. Maybe your family was closely knitted, everything was fine, then all of a sudden you are thrown to a grandma who lives in a community where everybody brings up a child and you don't even know your bearing. Self-esteem is eroded and all those other challenges coming. Then family where I wouldn't want to use the medical terms, but family where father and mother don't agree. Father say come, mother say go. With time, you find out that there are some people you already know now. When they want to watch television, they meet mother. When they want to play video games, they meet father. The child becomes manipulative. That also makes them at risk. And then, of course, we are talking about child sexual abuse. These are people, they are affected, they lost something very valuable to them. And as they grow, they may not be able to form formidable relationship, they may not be able to trust. All these form what we call adverse childhood experiences that weren't within your control.
Okay, so now you've just given us an overview of mainly for the children.
For the children.
What about adulthood? The woman?
Good. Now let us even go to adulthood because these are predisposing, but they are what we call precipitating or triggers. And triggers can be anything, but the layman will say environmental factors. So which are financial challenges. Hey, everybody, you know sometimes that alert may just cancel that sadness. When the alert hits your phone, you know say, I think I'm fine now. No, you will start smiling. So things like that. So financial challenges, relationship issues, unemployment, underemployment, even job dissatisfaction. You may think the person is working in a multinational, has everything, but is not happy where he or she working. And of course, we can't talk without putting all other emotional issues that may come in. Why? Especially when it comes to women. So if we now want to narrow down to women, why are women more prone to having depression as against men? Women are very emotional. A woman wants to harm herself, She would rather go to Facebook and say, I'm tired of life, I want to kill myself. And everybody be calling, what is it? Lagbaja, hey, have you eaten? Do you want money? A man will not do that. A man will man up and say, I'm a man.
True.
Taking. So women are more emotional, and of course our hormones come into play. At the point where we are more prone to depression, our progesterone level, they are high up, and they do not allow the stress hormones to level up. So you find that any little stress, we're moving, and the societal pressure on us is huge. They want us to do everything. And of course, studies will say people are claiming, which of course this has been cancelled, that women are multitasking. It's a lie. So women listening to me now, you are not multitasking nothing. You are just killing yourself gradually. You are doing everything suboptimally. You are not working to that optimal level. Do one thing at a time to conclude. Yes, conclude it. You are cooking, you are sweeping, you are backing baby, you are jumping up on that. Before you know it's happening, baby may fall. You may put sugar inside the stew. What have you really achieved? So emotional challenges, those psychological challenges, of course, societal pressure, the relationship, we are more at risk.
True.
I will tell you for free, as a resident doctor in Psychiatric Hospital Yaba for 6 years, 8 out of 10 of the women that were coming on admission was because of relationship challenges. In fact, we had situations where the man will come and divorce the woman in the hospital. We were not part of the wedding. No. Now you now come and divorce the woman and say, look, discharge her to her parents.
Wow.
And by the time I set up my practice 6 years ago, I thought the narrative would change. To date, 8 out of 10 of my clients or patients are women. And of course, that brings us to relationship. How are we getting it right? What is happening that's making us more at risk? And that's why we are twice more depressed than the men.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So we'll come to Thelma now. Thelma, you run an NGO that is helping, the lives of those at the bottom, very bottom of the pyramid. What are those indicators? What are those symptoms, the signs that will make you conclude that, okay, this person is depressed, so would need, the help that, the services that you give?
Yeah, definitely. Now, just a prelude to just back up from what Doctor is saying, I completely understand when she says that depression can be very circumstantial. I myself has struggled with depression once upon a time where I overdosed on, like 67 pills and ended up in a hospital. They had to resuscitate me back to life, but mine was circumstantial because of the way I grew up. No parents, being homeless, having to find my own way. After a while, then my sister died of cancer, the only person who I had with me. After a while, these things, it was kind of like an after effect of everything I'd been through. And then there's also the other side where things are more genetic and also medical. So for example, you might have some chemical imbalances that for some reason you just can't produce enough dopamine or any endorphins that are more, positive and happy hormones. Am I right? Now in Nigeria, and obviously working with people at the bottom of the pyramid, I've actually come to find that those at the bottom of the pyramid are a lot stronger than those at the top, because they don't have to keep up with the Joneses or any kind of societal expectations. It's usually, well, I'm just trying to eat. I'm just trying to make ends meet. Whereas those who are a little bit higher, those in the middle class, it's mainly them who struggle with depression. In fact, according to statistics recently, depression is actually the second highest disability in the world, which comes after blindness, which is number 1. So that's how normal it is in everyday's life, in everybody's life. Now you look at places like Africa, especially Nigeria, depression is almost taboo. So before people can express to you that they have depression, is something that you have to find yourself. So through that is, the number one thing is them trying to be perfect. That's how it usually starts. If they do something wrong, they over exaggerate on how bad it's been. They're very self-critical. They live in their mind. It's like you're speaking to them and they're in the room, but they're not in the room with you. These are some of the things or some of the preluding kind of characteristics that you would see with somebody who's having depression. Now, from my case, depression snuck up on me, but it came very, very quickly. It was almost thinking, okay, everything is going wrong in my life. Why doesn't anybody want to be around me? Why are my relationships not working out? Why am I struggling so much? Maybe I'm not meant to be here. Now, it's like that for a lot of women because they have to keep up an appearance. True. They have to be the perfect wife. They have to be the perfect girlfriend with the perfect body. You have to look a certain way. You have to be able to afford certain luxuries, to be accepted. I'd walk into a place in Lagos and if I'm not, all glammed up with my heels on or whatever, I'm automatically not accepted in a certain caliber of a place or people. Now, for men are more lackadaisical about things like this. They're just men. Men don't care about these things. Do you understand? So if a man is wearing the same outfit as another man, it doesn't really matter. They say, hey, we're wearing the same outfit. So yeah, let's snap. Whereas women, it's like, oh God, I'm supposed to stand out. Oh God. So all of these things come into play. And then in fact, depression is very self-inflicted. When you're not taking it from the stance of something that's quite medical or something that's according to genes, it's quite self-inflicted because you have to ask yourself, where are these pressures coming from? Who is putting these pressures on you? Who said that if you don't do this, you are going to die or we're going to take you out of society? And again, most importantly, in women, it depends on where you're raised. So me, for example, I've just moved back to Nigeria. Obviously, I'm not from, I'm born in Nigeria, but, I was living in London for the majority of my life. There, depression is, everybody has depression. Yeah. It's a very depressed place. People don't communicate with each other. Everybody minds their business. Whereas Nigeria, they're huge on community. You wake up in the morning, you go out, good morning, ma. Good morning. Do you understand? Exactly. How are you doing? Are you feeling okay? These things are so, everything brings us together from fashion to, work to, even impact investment like I do. Everything brings us together. So when you're here, it's almost like if you say that you're going through depression, it's like, but why? Because you have everything you need. Sure you are married. Sure you have this. Sure you have that. Some of us are struggling.
Depression is not us.
Exactly. I thought you were struggling. Exactly.
Go on a quick break. We are still talking. We are discussing depression on Amazons today. It is twice as high in women than it is of men. We are just looking at the reasons. And then we have a doctor in-house, a psychiatrist doctor and a mental health advocate. And then, of course, our guest, or one of our guests also runs an NGO that just help the lives of those who are at the bottom of the pyramid. We'll be back talking more after the break on Amazons.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, it's still the Amazons, and we have been talking about depression in women, considering the multitude of roles women play and how ambidextrous we can be. What would you say is the leading cause of depression in women?
Aside from genetic, relationship.
Wow.
It's high. We invest our energy, mind, everything in relationships. I know the woman is a pillar in every home. That's why they say a happy wife, a happy home. The woman we easily tell the children. It's very easy. We have the estrogen, the nurturing hormone. So we nurture the children. So it's very easy for them to follow us. Then you cajole the man. So it's easy when you want to get a family, get the wife. And every other person follows. So relationship, I would say, is still ranking high. And that is why we have to tell ourselves, sit down and use the Nigerian way of saying, we have to receive sense. Because investing in so much in a relationship and then you get shattered, misunderstood, and every other thing. And in this relationship, I'm not talking only about marriage, because people will be hearing and say, oh, it's marriage. No, even single. Because you see, the girl will have done everything, sweep, clean, mother, suppose, all the friends will be clapping, our wife. Then one Saturday you are calling and the phone is not going through.
You go there, you don't find the picture on the
you understand? The next thing, somebody will just WhatsApp you the picture. You know how these things are. And the things will just go. So,
okay, that brings me to the next question for you, Thelma. In helping those at the bottom of the pyramid, what is the involvement of the family? What is the support that those who have been confirmed to be under one form of depression or the other, what kind of support do they get in trying to pull them back up out of the depression?
That's such a good question, and it's so shocking that, again, it varies from place to place. So if we're dealing with, the UK, because we started off in the UK, you have families who are a lot more concerned because people would have usually taken it to suicidal thoughts or suicidal attempts. Here, hardly any involvement. In fact, the majority of the people don't want their families to know because, again, it's taboo. Again, it's like something is wrong with you. Or if your partner knows, he might think, how can I marry this one now? If this is what she's going through, is she strong enough? And it's so unfortunate. So when we have situations like that, what we try to do is we get heavy on mentoring and counseling. We make sure that, we're doing a lot of one-on-ones with them, where they're allowed to be open, allowed to be raw, how they're feeling, what they're going through. And what we try to do as an impact investment fund is aid any financial problems that they're going through at the moment. So if rent is, adding a burden onto you, if it's feeding that's adding a burden onto you, we cover that for the time that we have you. And even we elongate it after that. But then what we like to deal with mainly is the mental side of things and making sure that they always have somebody there or we're the primary support.
Yeah. So Dr. Maimuna, for you as a psychiatrist, we use the word, like you said earlier, depression loosely. But in assessing cases, what are those stages of depression that now, what is the number that you hit before you say, no, this person is close to...
Exactly. Depression.
Yeah. Or this person is at the very peak of depression and is leading to suicidal thoughts, especially for women.
So it ranges from mild, moderate, and severe, which is very easy for everybody to understand that things can be on the mild to the severe form. But of course, we have to look at the symptoms. There's an array of symptoms that we look at, and it's okay, this person could be having mild depression, moderate depression, or severe depression. So this is mental health 101 now for everyone. So there's a diagnostic manual. The World Health Organization has its own. The Americans got to have their own differently. Yeah. So the International Classification of Diseases, the 11th edition is the one we are currently using now. It actually gives us how you can make a diagnosis for mild, moderate, or severe depression. But they have 3 major symptoms and severe and several minor symptoms. What are these 3 major symptoms? Low mood, that's unhappiness or sadness. Okay. Low energy level, and loss of interest in things ordinarily are pleasurable to you. The women will stop going for Owambes, the men will stop watching Premiership League, things like that. But of course, I must quickly say here, these 3 major symptoms is not just a day or 2. They must be persistent at least a minimum of 2 weeks. You can't make a diagnosis of sadness of 1 day or 2 days.
True.
There's something
Things can change.
Exactly. True. You are bereaved. You are grieving. Somebody, agent has run away with your money that you want to go and rent one place. Things like that. Your appraiser wasn't approved. You are being harassed, and so things can make you sad. So you can't say sadness for a day or 2 is depression. It must be persistent, ongoing for at least minimum of 2 weeks. Then it may also interest us at this point that the several minor symptoms, some of them can be in form of malaria. So you may think you have malaria, but no, you may be depressed. So they are what we call malaria-like symptoms. And what are these things? Body aches, tummy ache, feverish, headaches, and things like under-eating or overeating. And when it comes to overeating, you're not eating rice or fufu. You are taking ice cream, chocolate. That's emotional eating. Not sleeping or oversleeping. They want to sleep the sorrows away. They want to sleep the pain away. Because when you are sleeping, all of us, when we sleep our problems away. True. It's when you wake up, your problem will wake up. So oversleeping, undersleeping, not eating well or overeating, the body aches, and then poor concentration and attention. Where are my car keys? My children at the my child. I said, please, where's my phone? The boy looked at me and like, Mommy, you are holding your phone. I said, that means I'm stressed. So we need to understand certain things that we go through, and we know that this is a break. But when it now becomes moderate or severe, when they start hearing voices, when they start seeing strange things, when they start feeling everybody is against them, when they start, having those thoughts of killing themselves because they start feeling hopeless, worthless, useless. That is where suicide comes, and that is why suicide, we are talking about it because depression tops most on that list. Is when somebody feels hopeless, worthless, and useless, they start thinking, I think nobody will even cry when I am gone. I think nobody even likes me. I think nobody even cares about me. And I always tell people, every day, first thing, be kind to yourself and be kind to people you meet every day because you don't even understand their struggles. Because one act of kindness can just make the person change his or her mind and say, look, that means people love me. I'm not going to kill myself. So all these symptoms, we must, so in making the diagnosis, a proper clinician will now say, okay, one symptom of my major symptom and two symptoms of minor symptoms, bring them together. So many things. So all that come together to say, yes, this you're making.
Okay, Dr. Maimuna.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being a part of the discussion today. Thelma, thank you so much. Dr. Maimuna, thank you. Lillian, it's time for us to say bye-bye.
Yes, it's time for us to say bye. Unfortunately, when you have such healthy conversations, time just goes fast. And I would like to thank you once again for being part of the show. It's been a very mind-engaging conversation. I've learned a thing or two and unlearned some things too. So remember that you can be a part of this show by staying connected with us on our social media handles. It's the Amazons Official NG on Instagram. It's the Amazons NG on YouTube. The Amazons NG on Twitter. My name is Lilian Moni.
I'm Aisha Falude. Until we come your way again next time, bye-bye.
Bye for now.